On June 30th, 1908, at exactly 7:17 a.m., something hit the Earth with the force of 1,000 atomic bombs. 80 million trees were flattened in a perfect radial pattern across 800 square miles of Siberian wilderness. But here's what makes this terrifying. When scientists finally reached the blast site 19 years later, they found something impossible. No crater, no fragments, no evidence of what caused the most powerful explosion in recorded human history. The indigenous Evenki people called it the fire that came from the sky. What they witnessed that morning would haunt them for generations. But that wasn't even the strangest part of what happened at Tunguska. The morning started like any other in the remote Podkamennaya-Tunguska River region of central Siberia. Local Evenki herder Semyon Semyonov was sitting on his porch when he saw a brilliant fireball streak across the sky, brighter than the sun itself. The heat was so intense, it felt like his shirt was catching fire. Then came the shockwave. Trees began snapping like matchsticks. The sound was heard 600 miles away. Seismic stations across Europe and Asia recorded tremors equivalent to a 5.0 earthquake. In London, 4,000 miles away, the atmospheric pressure wave was detected twice as it circled the globe. For 3 nights afterward, the skies across Europe and Western Russia glowed so brightly that people could read newspapers by the strange light. But what terrified the locals most was the silence that followed. For nearly 2 decades, the outside world remained oblivious to what had happened in the Siberian wilderness. The Russian Revolution, World War I, and the region's extreme remoteness kept the secret buried. It wasn't until 1927 that Soviet mineralogist Leonid Kulik mounted the first scientific expedition to investigate reports of a massive meteorite impact. What he expected to find was a crater filled with valuable meteoric iron. What he actually discovered defied all logic. Remember that detail about no crater? That becomes crucial later. Instead of a single impact site, Kulik found a vast area of destruction radiating outward from a central point. Trees weren't just knocked down randomly. They formed a perfect butterfly pattern, all pointing away from ground zero like the spokes of a massive wheel. At the epicenter, something even more bizarre awaited. At ground zero, Kulik made a discovery that haunts scientists to this day. The trees directly beneath the explosion were still standing. Stripped of branches and bark, these ghostly sentinels stood like telephone poles in a perfect circle. The blast had been so precisely vertical that it created an eye in the hurricane of destruction. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. Kulik's team found microscopic spheres of melted rock embedded in the tree resin, but they weren't from any known meteorite composition. The magnetic readings were off the charts, yet no metallic fragments were ever recovered. Soil samples revealed elevated levels of rare metals like iridium and nickel, but in patterns that didn't match typical impact events. Local Evenki guides refused to enter the central area, claiming the forest spirits were angry. They described animals behaving strangely for years afterward. What they found next would change everything. Modern investigations have only deepened the mystery. In the 1950s, Soviet researchers discovered something that challenged every theory about the Tunguska event. The explosion had occurred 5 to 10 kilometers above the ground, not on impact. This was an airburst of unimaginable power, equivalent to 10 to 15 megatons of TNT. For perspective, that's nearly 1,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. Computer modeling showed that if a comet or asteroid had exploded with that force, there should have been debris, lots of it. But extensive searches using metal detectors, ground-penetrating radar, and soil analysis have yielded almost nothing. The few microscopic particles found contain isotope ratios that don't match any known solar system objects. Even more puzzling, tree ring analysis shows that surviving trees actually grew faster after 1908, as if the explosion had somehow fertilized the entire region. But that wasn't even the most disturbing discovery. Here's what mainstream science doesn't want to discuss. Multiple eyewitness accounts describe the object changing direction mid-flight. Semyon Semyonov wasn't the only one who saw it. Railway engineer V. Longo reported watching the fireball make a distinct turn in the sky before the explosion. Indigenous accounts speak of the fire serpent weaving through the clouds. Objects falling from space don't change course. They follow ballistic trajectories. Period. Then there are the photographs that disappeared. Kulik's expedition took hundreds of images, but many were confiscated by Soviet authorities and never released. Declassified documents from the 1960s reveal that the USSR conducted secret nuclear tests in the region, supposedly to study the anomalous effects still present 50 years later. Why would they need to detonate atomic weapons at the site of a simple meteorite impact? What were they really looking for? The official explanation has always been a comet or asteroid, but the evidence suggests something far more unsettling. Today, over 115 years later, Tunguska remains one of Earth's greatest unsolved mysteries. The official theory of a comet or asteroid airburst explains some of the evidence, but not all of it. Not the missing debris, not the unusual isotopes, not the eyewitness accounts of course changes, not the decades of Soviet secrecy. The blast zone is still there, visible from space, a permanent scar on our planet. Trees have grown back, but the magnetic anomalies remain. Local wildlife populations took decades to recover. And sometimes, on clear nights, the Evenki people still report strange lights dancing above the impact site. Was Tunguska really just a cosmic accident? Or was it something else entirely? Something that challenges our understanding of what's possible. The forest keeps its secrets, but the evidence suggests we're not getting the whole truth. What do you think really happened in that Siberian wilderness? Drop your theory in the comments. And if you want to explore more mysteries that science can't explain, hit that subscribe button. Because the universe is full of events that defy explanation, and some of them might be happening right now. We left out one crucial detail on purpose, because it connects to our next mystery in a way that will blow your mind. Don't miss it. Don't forget to subscribe. We uncover a new dark secret every day.